Hello and welcome to another lecture online for journalism research. I'm Professor Harper, and what I'd like to do in this lecture is just go through a number of websites that have to do with specific government agencies, primarily at the federal and state level. We'll deal with Philadelphia in a later lecture, but here's one that's particularly useful for a wide variety of issues with respect to the federal government. It's www.usa.gov, and you can do a whole variety of easy searches here so that it will give you an A to Z index of U.S. government agencies. It also will give you information and links to state, local, and also tribal government. It will provide you with interesting information about housing and community, jobs and unemployment, consumer and money issues. It's a relatively good aggregated search engine and website, www.usa.gov. Another one that is important to look at is www.whitehouse.gov, which provides you a variety of information about the Trump administration, how it's structured. It's essentially a public relations website for whoever the president is, but it also does provide you with some information about how the executive branch functions. The Government Accountability Office is one of the independent agencies which provide some oversight toward issues with respect to government projects and other issues. And what the GAO will be tasked to do is to look at how government programs are working. So it's a good site to go to see, if there's something that you should be taking a look at. The Defense Department has taken steps to create a new organizational strategy, but they're incomplete. When it comes to VA healthcare, a big issue over the past few years. Improvements are needed in how simply the information is used. Dealing with, and they put out a variety of reports every day. How the Job Corps is working, so that it's a very good place to go if you're looking at a story that's a national story, and then how you take it to the local level. That's www.gao.gov. We'll talk more about courts and crime later, but this is the official site for the Supreme Court, where you can find case documents, opinions. You can actually listen to the oral arguments as they're being done, and a very useful site to look at the laws. This is the main site for the U.S. Congress, www.congress.gov. Here you can look at various bills that are being advanced through Congress. You can see where they stand, what committees are contemplating the issues. You can also find links to various members here, various committees, and also the congressional record, which keeps track of all of the events that are going on in Congress. There are individual sites that, if you're dealing with transportation, for example, the United States Department of Transportation keeps all kinds of statistics when it comes to transportation, whether it's automobiles, planes, trains, etc., etc. A great site to look at specific statistics. When it comes to other agencies and government sites for specific information, and here the idea really is to develop a set of websites that you can go to. This is all the information with respect to children, their indicators of well-being. And there's an overview of the 2016 report, and it goes through economic conditions, healthcare, education, health, and a variety of data about children in America. When it comes to diseases and topics with respect to health, the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, provides a vast array of information on all kinds of topics, from alcohol use to Alzheimer's to kidney disease, liver disease, birth defects. Um, and here is a site where you can go automatically without doing a search in a general search engine and get specific information and data for a story. Here is a government website where you can get a variety of information about how children are doing in education, particularly K through 12. You can compare how those in your city, your state, are doing versus other states, versus a median, versus, let's say, for example, you want to compare Pennsylvania with Delaware and New Jersey. Here's where you can go and you can find out how students are doing at various grade levels and how the education system is actually working. The GPO is the U.S. Government Publishing Office, and here's a place where you can find out how the United States Code, all the laws that have been passed, and specifically by subject areas, you can determine what the law is, when it was passed, and have that available for your story. Here are some interesting things when it comes to looking at trends with respect to how people vote, particularly members of Congress. It's votesmart.org. It provides quick access to the biography, the votes, the positions and speeches, and also some funding information for political campaigns, and is a very good source to track national and local politicians. Another one which does a similar thing is ontheissues.org. It is an organization where you can go state by state. You can take a look at Pennsylvania and look at the various people in the government, whether it's state government, Senate, House. You can look at issues such as what are the positions on energy and oil. Say, for example, you want to take a look on about the state politics with respect to the shale oil and fracking. So you can go here and you can actually find out how the various politicians stands on the issues. Finally, the Washington Post, which many times it's a paid site, and so you can only go there on occasion, where you can buy a subscription for not a particularly great deal of money as a student, and this will take you to how Congress and congressional members voted on various bills, the main issues that are coming up, and what in fact was done. So that here are a whole wide variety of sites that you can go to and find out very specific information, very quick information. Finally, one other, the U.S. Department of Defense. This is going to be essentially the organization of the U.S. Department of Defense, and essentially public relations releases that they want to put out. But essentially you will see how the various branches are arranged and how it's structured, so that you can actually go very quickly to understand how one event in Syria, Ethiopia, and how the U.S. Department of Defense has handled that, and who's actually in the confrontation. As I said earlier, the Pennsylvania State website is not a particularly useful one. It provides you some overview and some information with the news, press releases from various things. It does provide you with some idea of how the systems work, and how it's structured in terms of um, Governor Tom Wolf, how the Senate, the House of Representatives function. It also gives you the various departments where you can find information that pertains specifically to Pennsylvania. For example, if you go to the Department of Corrections, you can get a much more accurate figure than you get off the internet for the number of people on death row in Pennsylvania prisons. So that it provides kind of a rough overview of how the state of Pennsylvania functions. One useful site basically gives you access to all of the local government websites throughout Pennsylvania, so that there are websites for most of the town. They give you contact numbers, some information, not a great deal of stuff, but you can at least find a contact person if you have a question for that specific place, which, may be pertinent to a story that you're working on. So thanks very much, and we'll see you online.